that being said, like I said earlier, it was weird with us with Smooth Criminal, knowing that we just wanted to kind of keep on our own track and ignore a little bit of that false. The way that we friended Papa Roach was surprising to me, you know, because it again, you know, when you do start out, you feel like it's the world against you and your three friends or whatever. But now I will call Joe tonight and tell him thanks for the concussion, you fucking asshole.
Moshpit Passion, you know, for the passion of music.
Herzlich willkommen hier bei Moshpit Passion auf YouTube. Ich bin der Kajo. Wie ihr sehen könnt, bin ich nicht alleine hier. Ich bin für euch hier nach Eindhoven gefahren, nämlich Alien Ant Farm spielen. Die spielen auch noch demnächst bei uns in Essen. Deren Tour startet jetzt. Und neben mir Dryden von Alien Ant Farm. Dryden, nice to have you here at the Moshpit Passion camp.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm from Germany, but today we are here in the Netherlands. But Alien Ant Farm, yeah, you guys got still a nice crowd in mainland Europe, also UK. I saw the whole UK tour is more or less completely sold out. If you think about this, I mean, you've been, I think it was 2019, the last time here over Europe. How crazy for you is that to realize that you're still important for some fans?
Well, that's all that matters, and when you come out, you know, it's the idea of are people still curious for the band? If they're not, then, you know, there's no show. So yeah, I mean, we're super grateful. And there's pockets where we do really, really well, and then there's pockets where there's a handful of people. You know, of course we want to see full crowds, but we're used to delivering a great show no matter the circumstance, you know. I mean, people are there to see us, and some have waited years. So it's kind of like you have to remind yourself that it might be an everyday situation for us to go and play live and just kind of go through the motions, but it's nice to do it for a fan that is maybe their only one time to see you play, you know? It's important.
You released a new record. Mantras came out this spring, but I want to know about this one, the Greatest Hits record, which is your first record, and you released it many years. If you look on this record and that record, how would you describe yourself back in the day?
Well, it was a lot of almost improvised, for me at least. The band was not as focused, I think, back then, but in very clever ways, I think. To say that we weren't focused is not necessarily fair, or maybe sounds negative, but I think I mean it as a compliment. When you're young, I don't know how focused you're supposed to be anyways. There's a lot of experiment in that first record, where it's almost moments of like metal and jazz, and you know, the musicianship is very all over the map. So I was just trying to find myself in that, and it was very difficult, at least just to find, you know, who I was as a songwriter in the mix of all this like chaotic music. I think we started to find our niche slowly after this record, but it's always fun to hear the origins of Ant Farm, you know, it's cool.
Definitely. And what I really like is when it comes to your major record, and also how you got the deal, because back in the day, for me, sometimes it's when I listen to this kind of story you might want to share later, that there was some kind of bonding and friendship back in the day stronger than now, because today sometimes, this is just my opinion, bands are more in competition than like, hey, let's build up because Papa Roach and you guys helped each other out. Would you agree to this, or do you don't?
I completely agree, but I think it was just as competitive back then. I feel the older I am now, I would more inclined to be friendly and welcome other bands. The way that we friended Papa Roach was surprising to me, you know, because it again, you know, when you do start out, you feel like it's the world against you and your three friends or whatever. But yeah, it was very surprising to create that friendship with them, and to have another band really be supportive of you was surprising to me, you know, and we were equally supportive of them too, you know.
How would you describe the time when you released the major debut record, then came Truant out, and then Third Draft / Up in the Attic, and you also dealt with all this kind of business stuff, kind of like, I don't know if you would agree, but the support from like the Anthology time was not that, or not the same like when Truant came out, because I don't know, whoever it was from the label, they had a different focus on that. And also when it came to your third record, I think you had some troubles with the label. You did the Third Draft. It was a pirate copy at first,
Yeah.
and then you re-released it over, how was it, Geffen Records, I think.
Yeah, you know, it's just hard to say. It's weird. Ant Farm has been in the middle of, for the most part, you know, obviously the Smooth Criminal was such a weird little, you know, lightning in a bottle, for lack of a better term. But it's created almost like a falseness of us being this household name. It's almost like, you know, everybody knows the name Alien Ant Farm, but we're not a big band at the same time. You know what I mean? So we've had to kind of figure that out as well. You know, of course, the DreamWorks record, you have all the support. At that time, we were the last of those bands that were getting these big budgets to make these incredible videos and being in these beautiful, lush studios. We got a little bit of that in the second record with Truant. At that time, I guess everything's in hindsight, the label was folding and closing unbeknownst to us. We didn't even really know that that was happening at that time. It would have maybe been nice to sit on that record and see where it went with maybe another label picking it up, because we had so much hope for that record being produced from the DeLeo brothers from Stone Temple Pilots, and us coming out of a bus crash and kind of beginning again. So we've had, you know, we've had our fair share of really, really great moments, and some that have just been, for lack of a better word, like frustrating. But that being said, like I said earlier, it was weird with us with Smooth Criminal, knowing that we just wanted to kind of keep on our own track and ignore a little bit of that false fame, because do you understand what I mean? Yeah, so that's kind of where I sit with that.
When it also comes to, let me say, budgets and creating music videos, how was it for you when Up in the Attic came out? I mean, half of the band left, just you and Mike were the band, and you also created some videos for it, which are actually on the DVD. But did those kind of videos also came on television, or were just like for CD promotion?
It was just I was just trying to facilitate, just do what we could in the small way that we saw at the time. You know, at the time, it was a weird moment. You know, in those few seasons, my heart and head was not in Ant Farm, but it was also still like what we knew. You know what I mean? So, you know, I wish maybe, again in hindsight, that I had put more, maybe had more aggressive, I wish I had more excitement to do that project, or this project, I guess, you know. But it was what it was at that time, and we tried, but I feel like we tried a little, maybe not as hard as we could have, you know. Maybe
you can explain for the younger visitors the status of social media, for instance, when you released Third Draft / Up in the Attic, because the music videos which you did, I think was Around the Block, for instance, which is a low budget production. Yeah. I mean, it is a perfect video for YouTube.
And some of those are really charming. Some of those videos are kind of my favorite, because it shows a side that is very just raw, you know what I mean? There's nothing but personality in that. And you can dress up a video all you want, but if the personality comes through, then it's kind of gold, you know? And for true fans, I think they kind of prefer that, maybe, you know?
I asked you at the beginning what kind of person you were in 1999. What kind of person are you now?
Well, I'm a dad, sober, 3 years sober. it's just complete 180, I would say, you know. But that being said, we are who we are. I don't know that, you know, age changes you for sure. I'd like to think that my songwriting has just better in every way. Whether it's so weird because like if it's maybe a fan will hear Anthology and say, well, that's a great record and this is okay, or whoever opinions are that they're your own to have. But for me personally, I know where I'm coming from, or I know what I'm saying or writing. I know my voice. It's just grown and for the better, you know. And that being said, I don't know that I would change any of the old records, but it's nice to know that I still have those sentiments in my back pocket, and it's fun. For this record, I actually had some perspective to listen to old Ant Farm almost like a fan, and say what would, not for every song, but what would the old Dryden do on this song? And it was kind of fun to almost cover myself in a way.
I think it's also some kind of, how can you say, a newer version of Alien Ant Farm from back in the day, because the record before, Always and Forever, I don't know which kind of direction it was, because there was this kind of song, there was a poppy song, there was a radio song, there was a heavy song, it was some kind of soundtrack. And this record is more like there's a red line, there's a concept behind you, also trying a new direction. Yeah,
that last record, Always and Forever, was done in Chicago, and I was doing co-writes. I shouldn't say I, but a majority of the time it was I was the center of the attraction of the song because I was the singer or what have you. So we were doing lots of co-writes with other people, which I welcome it, but then at the same time I felt like we are also seasoned, and sometimes I felt like it was just unnecessary to have someone in there. So a lot of that influence came just because I was trying to play nice and play ball with another writer in the room. And it's fun and it's cool, but it's not Alien Ant Farm. So that record to me is not Alien Ant Farm. There's a few songs that are, but there's some that are not. And we just tried to do something, and if it fell flat, then that's okay too, you know?
Is it also a reason why it's not on Spotify, for instance?
No, we're trying to get it on. We just had some trouble with that, you know, the financial backer or the label of that. We're trying to get it up. I don't know why he wouldn't want it up either, but I think in short time it'll be up.
All right, Dryden. I see our time is running out. I got one last question left because our magazine is called MÖCHTEST Passion, and I would really like to know a silly, crazy, or maybe your first mosh pit experience, which you got to share.
Oh my gosh, I remember. There was in my local town, I think I was watching a band that I love called Spiderworks, and I was ready to go in the pit, all excited, and I wasn't paying attention, and someone just knocked me out completely cold. I remember for minutes must have been out, so I got the shit knocked out of me, and it scared me from the pit for probably about a year, but I was back. You always go back to the mosh pit.
Do you told the story Joe when he was in the band?
I don't know if I ever told Joe, because I just now trying to remember which band it was, because there's so many bands to see back then. But now I will call Joe tonight and tell him, thanks for the concussion, you fucking asshole.
So guys, thank you very much for watching. I put everything down in the description for Alien Ant Farm. Please come to the shows. Today is the first day of the tour. So bye. See you next time.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Mosh pit passion, you know, for the passion of music.